All right. What's up? What's up, speaker coach friends? Michelle V is back. And today I've got Amanda Hietter with me to speak all about retreats. So, my speaker coach friends, if you have ever dreamed of hosting your own events for your people, especially fun events where you can do retreats and you've got your people there and they're just having this life changing, amazing experience, and you're like, yes, that's absolutely what I want to do. That's what we're going to talk about today. Because if you're anything like me, you're like, cool, that's what I want to do one day, someday in the future, right? And so then when I talked to Amanda, I was like, wow, actually, I didn't realize there's these things that made me say, oh, that's later because of all these things. And so we want to address the because part today, especially, and get you excited about retreats, give you the down low on what does it really take to host one? When are you ready? When are you not ready? We're going to dive into all of that. How do you make your retreats profitable? How do you why do you even want to do a retreat? Is that even a good thing for your clients? Which secret is it absolutely is. So we're going to talk about all those things today so that you can host your retreats and go have fun in the Bahamas or wherever. Amanda's going to tell us where she tends to take people and all those exciting things. So who wants to have a vacation and make money? That's what we're talking about today. So I want to welcome Amanda. Tell us, I was going to read your thing here and then I didn't pull it back up, but Amanda is tell us, you introduce yourself for us. I know all about you, but Amanda is an expert at retreats, but just give us a little bit more background about you, about what you do for people in this retreat space world.
Yeah. So hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Hietter. I am the CEO and owner of Across the Horizon Travel. First off, Michelle, I want to say thank you so much for having me on here today. I really appreciate you. And I'm so grateful we got connected. It was definitely a God thing, and how we both work with the same people, which is the coolest thing ever. So how she and I connected is I was talking with her about how I work with coaches and speakers to scale their businesses through hosting international retreats. I have just heard over and over again so many coaches and speakers say, that's something that I'll do like down the road. And then I start asking why, and they feel like they don't have the bandwidth to do it. And that's where I come into play, where you can partner with me and I will help you have the bandwidth to do it. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of share all my tips and tricks and why they should plan a retreat.
Yes, that is our first question, actually, is to address the outside of, hey, it sounds really fun to go on vacation and have a retreat. Our first question really, we want to dive into, why would you want a retreat? What are the benefits of hosting a retreat for your clients? Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah. So hosting a retreat isn't just about creating a memorable experience for your clients. It's actually a really powerful way for you to deepen relationships. You get to expand your impact and you get to also generate a significant income, because that's what we're here for, right? We want to build our businesses. We want to grow our income. So retreats actually give coaches and speakers the chance to connect with their audience in a more intimate setting. So you're able to foster trust and loyalty, and that can lead to really long-term growth for you as a business owner. From a financial perspective, retreats, they offer multiple revenue streams. So you can build in your coaching or speaking fees, you can upsell one-on-one sessions, and you can even partner with sponsors to offset some of the costs. I've worked with many retreat leaders who leave not only with great memories, but also with increased client retention, referrals. Who does not love a referral, right? And often a larger following. So here at Across the Horizon Travel, we ensure that every detail is handled so that you can focus on delivering your message and maximizing your earning potential without the stress of the logistics of travel.
Right. Yes. We're going to jump into the logistics, but I love what you said, because whenever you think about, I personally love events, obviously, but I love events, and especially in-person events. And if you've ever been to retreat, it's just a totally different dynamic of, you get to connect with your coach or your leader at such a higher level at these high-end masterminds that I've been to. When we got to do retreat type of things, it's like sitting by the campfire in those casual conversations. We're just talking about life, or these offhand moments that aren't even planned. Those are some of my favorite moments of retreats, because like you said, yes, we're deepening trust. And as a coach, as a speaker, if you host a retreat for your people, you're deepening trust. They're getting to know you as a person off of just being on this little screen or on the stage. And then like you were saying, I think statistically they say too that in order for someone to buy something substantial from you, they really need to have 4 to 7 hours or more exposure to you as well. So if you have, I know we were talking off screen about just how you can upsell higher packages to them too, because now they know you, they trust you, they've gotten results from you, they had this amazing experience, so they're just feeling the vibe and they're ready to go. They're like, hey, what else do you got? Let me sell you something more expensive. Right? You want more of it? Let's go do some more. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. So I always say, like, when you're planning a successful retreat, goodness, words are hard today. It usually starts with clarity and collaboration. So I help with the collaboration part. So I always begin with helping the coaches and speakers define your goals. That is the most important part. They always say, if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail, right? So we start with your goals of the retreat. And then for instance, what transformation do you want your attendees to experience? That's so key, because obviously they're coming to this retreat for an experience and they're wanting to leave changed or with more knowledge, right? So what kind of setting would align with your brand and your message? And so that's where I come into play of, do you want more of a serene setting that is going to be more wellness focused? Or do you want something that's a little bit more exciting because you want to incorporate adventure and put people outside of their comfort zone to help them grow? There are so many different types of resorts that can accommodate for that. So once we actually have built that foundation, I start handling the logistics step by step. So choosing the perfect destination, securing the accommodations, organizing all the transportation for all your attendees. That's so important. You want to make sure that they're having a good experience as soon as they get off the plane and they're heading to the resort, because that's so key. You want it to start out as a, exciting experience. And then I even help curate activities that will complement your program. So if you're someone that wants adventure, let's say you're going to Costa Rica, doing like some zip lining, that can be really fun, or a river cruise. Or if you're someone that's more into wellness, incorporating like yoga, or doing something like a sound bath or things like that. So there are all kinds of exciting activities that I can also help you incorporate into that. So you're not thinking about, okay, who do I need to contact for that? I take care of that as well. And I also ensure that your budget is optimized so that the retreat leaders not only break even, but you also want to profit. That's so key. We don't want you to just break even. We want you to profit. So for example, I help structure pricing to include like your teaching fees, your accommodations, special perks like exclusive excursions or VIP upgrades. And throughout that process, I act as a partner. So I keep all of your attendees informed, and that keeps them stress-free, and that keeps you stress-free so that you can focus on your content and your clients and being a leader. So the result ends up being an unforgettable experience for your attendees, and it's a seamless process for you as the retreat leader as well.
Yeah, and that sounds amazing, because one of the things, as I think about, the events, I typically host events online that don't take a lot of their tech details, not a lot of those other details, right? And so whenever I think about, hey, these retreats, these in-person events that I want to host, I think one of the big reasons why I haven't said yes and just jumped all in on creating my own large retreat is because I've done some of that event planning outside of my business, and I know how much work it is, number one. Number two, I've been to those retreats. I just went to one last year where the woman was amazing, but she's wearing all of the hats, right? She's being the leader of the retreat, but by the end, she was just losing her mind. I'm so sorry, I'm grouchy, blah, 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 because you're having to deal with all the details and the stuff that comes up. And she just planned and organized the whole thing. Plus you're being the energetic motivator. You're the center of the event. And so as the leader, speaker, center of the event, your energy really needs to be clear of all that stuff so that you can shine and really connect with your people and help them have a more amazing experience. So I love what you're saying about, having somebody else help you with that so that you don't have to be the one carrying all of that. And then also just knowing that, okay, well, here's I've done this a few times, right? I'm Amanda. I've done this a few times. I know what to look for, what to say. So for you, before we jump into more of those details in terms of like, hey, what could go wrong, or what are we looking at, or some of those details, I really kind of want to talk about some of the other things that hold people back from moving forward with retreats. Because one is the overwhelm. Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't want to manage it all. Who do I talk to? All of that. But aside from that, what are some of the other main reasons why would you say people either aren't ready to do a retreat or they think they're not ready?
Yeah. So every time I'm talking with a retreat leader in the beginning stages, they're always kind of leery and like, oh, there's so many challenges that come with this. So I remind them that I'm going to be managing a lot of the logistics, pretty much all of the logistics for them. I'm going to help them stay within budget, and I'm going to help them attract attendees. I even, like right now, I'm working with a client that's getting ready to do a retreat in September. And he's like, he's running everything by me. So he ran by, okay, this is the name that we thought of. And I was like, no, let's kind of tweak this. And he's like, yeah, that sounds better. And he even is sending me a copy of his flyer so I can look it over, because I am an outside perspective looking in and know what's going to be successful and what's going to pull in clientele and attract attendees. So I'm even there kind of being an advocate for you in that as well, of just us partnering together and helping make sure that even your branding and materials are going to draw in attendees. So many of my coaches and speakers I work with, they find that this whole process can be really overwhelming, because it involves so many moving parts. When you think about leaving the country, there's just so many things that go with that. It's like coordinating the venues, the transportation, the meals, special requests. You might have an attendee that has disabilities or have, certain food allergies. And that's where I step in. I actually will take the time to understand their vision, and I handle every detail, even when it comes to the attendees. So they're not going to be feeling like they're managing a second job, because it really does turn into a second job for the retreat leader. And I take that off of their plate. And another area that I help with is budgeting. So I help my retreat leaders understand their costs. And I even help create pricing models that ensure profitability while you're also providing incredible value to their attendees. As for attracting attendees, I actually provide marketing support, like crafting promotional materials. I partner with someone for that. I even offer tips on messaging to make the retreat irresistible. And then I always say my goal is to help the retreat leaders focus on their content and their clients. And then I ensure that everything else is running flawlessly.
Right. Yes. I love that. So kind of going back to why event hosts and, these retreat leaders, why there's the overwhelm, and you're mentioning like all the things. I always talk about it like an iceberg. Oh, well, this is going to be so great. I just need this, this, and this. And then you get in there and you're like, oh my goodness. Oh, and then I need this, and I need this, and I need this. And what about that? And then I should be sending this reminder and blah, 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 blah. So I personally can't stand those like little detail things. I'm so bad at those. And I'm like, I don't want to be managing that. That drives me nuts. It's energy sucking for me. And so I would love to have somebody else help me to do that part. Yeah. But let's talk about, so hiring, to me, it's like a no-brainer to hire someone that's already done it, that can do it with you. And I've also, especially what you're talking about with the pricing structure too, I've seen people grossly undercharged for experiences like this, where they are just covering the bare minimum. And then if something happens, we're stuck. Like I was helping the NHA. This wasn't it's not a retreat necessarily, but they were doing a really big conference, and COVID happened, and then post-COVID happened. So by the time they actually had the retreat, food prices had doubled, everything had doubled, but they had only charged this much for the ticket price. And now they have to cover this crazy inflation issue that had happened for them, and just not preparing ahead of time in their pricing at all for any kind of emergencies, any issues like that. And then you're going to spend all this time and this energy, and then you're going to exhaust yourself, and then you're going to make $0 out of it in the end, or maybe lose money. And I think that is the real fear that these leader or speakers, coaches have, because they're like, well, I don't want to go down that route. I don't want it to be a bummer. So how, outside of, the pricing structure and things like that, I know you mentioned a few different ways earlier that
Mhm.
the retreats can be profitable. Can you tell us maybe, do you have an example? Actually, I would love to, anyways, I would love to hear some bad examples and some good examples if you have to have those of like, oh, they tried to do it on their own and then it stunk and they came to me and they missed out on this, and then this is what I've helped people with and this is why they're profitable. If you could give us kind of an example there.
Yeah. So anybody that is not getting a profit hasn't worked with me. So, because I actually have a document where I have them plug in numbers and that it spits out what the cost should be for each attendee. So I've created that to help them be profitable. So they're able to plug in everything and you plug in, okay, it's a total for accommodations and this, and it breaks everything down and then it spits out that number. So I always make sure that we're working in that first. So we find the accommodations. Once we find the accommodations, then we start plugging in those numbers. And I say, okay, now it's time to start thinking ahead of all of your branding materials, because obviously you're going to want to have some kind of goodie bag. You're going to want to have, a welcome letter in the room. You want them to have an experience as a VIP experience. So making sure to let them know that they're valued, they're appreciated. Who doesn't love having goodies in their room each night, or even like when they're arriving, when they're getting ready to depart. So putting all of those things into that spreadsheet that I have where we work together, and it's a working spreadsheet between the both of us. We're collaborating together, and I'm like, that number, let's kind of talk about that number, because that seems like you're shooting a little bit low, because I've done this in the past. Let's go ahead and talk about like where you're getting that number from, because we want to make sure, or I specifically want to make sure that they're going to be profitable, because I want them to come back and want to do this over and over and over again. Because again, this is so beneficial for the coach and speaker to do this, because they're getting a chance to have a more intimate experience with their attendees. They're going to be able to do that high ticket offer at the end that is going to just explode their business, and they're going to get referrals and marketing materials out of this. There's so many things that encompass doing a retreat that sometimes people don't think about. So I help them kind of understand that vision and why it's so key. So I always make sure that every single coach and speaker that's working with me is getting profit. So any bad examples, I don't have them, because I'm very intentional. We're going to be working in this document. We're going to figure this out together, and we're going to make sure you're getting profit.
I wasn't sure if anybody came to you and said, oh my gosh, I tried to do this on my own and this is all these terrible things that happen or anything like that, because I have
had someone to come and tell me that, and she was a little bit leery about doing another retreat. And that's where I explained, hey, this is where I come in and I have the plan, and we're going to do this together and make sure you're going to have profit. And she was like, okay, let's go ahead and do this thing. So there was, I like to stay positive and not think about these, the poor ones that try to do it on their own and they're not partnering with someone like me, that helps them be profitable. Because the key thing, again, we want them to have profit. We don't want you to break even, because there's a lot of energy and time that gets put into this as well, where they're crafting, what they're wanting to share with their audience. We're working together and deciding, okay, what is the itinerary going to be? There's a lot of energy that's put into this. And even the energy of you being at the event, we don't want you to break even and be like, okay, I didn't even make $1. That makes 0 sense. We all, like, time is money. So we want to make sure that the speakers and coaches are getting what they deserve, because they're putting this on for the benefit of the attendees and their clients.
Absolutely. And I think what you were saying about my mind just went like all of a sudden. Oh, okay, there's these negative experiences, obviously, but I think that probably is the number one reason why people don't say yes, is because of the, okay, well, what if I set it up and nobody shows up? Or what if I set it up and it doesn't work? And these are very expensive. They're very expensive learning lessons, right? So if you do it on your own, you just say, oh, let me just go do this on my own. It's a very expensive, it's a very expensive lesson that, okay, maybe you don't get people there, or maybe you didn't do this thing right. So then everybody hates you and they want their money back, or, these terrible things could happen. And, I always think specifically with things like this, is it going to cost you more to do it with someone, or is it going to cost you more to do it without them? And in this situation, it's absolutely, unless you have some kind of background where you've done this before yourself and you happen to know all these things, it's going to be more expensive for you to do it without someone.
Yeah.
Even if you do know all those things, like we said before, you don't have energy left to spend. You're not putting the most important energy into the most important thing, which is connecting with your audience, helping them, relaxing, loving them, all these things. So tell us also a little bit more about, okay, if my fear is, what if I don't make money? What if people don't sign up? What if whatever, 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 what if, whatever, whatever. That's probably the biggest one for people. What would you say to someone who said, okay, I have an amazing program. I have an amazing program. I want to do a retreat. I have a vision for it. I want it to be international. That's so much fun. But Amanda, I just don't know if I can get people to come. What would you say?
So I always ask, where is your community of people that you're pulling from? For instance, I actually met with a client yesterday and he said he was ready, but I said, okay, so if we start working together, do you have people you could reach out to today that are going to say, yes, I want to do this? And he said, oh, not really. And I was like, okay, well, let's step back a little bit and let's first create a community. And this is what you do. What you have is you have a community and you're building something like that. So it's so key and it's so easy. And so I do kind of coach them. It's so funny how I've started to turn into a coach through this as well, which I never realized would happen. But showing them how important it is to have like a Facebook community and dropping in there first before we even start working together. How about you drop in there like a poll of, hey, if I hosted a retreat at this location or this location, who would be interested? Then you're going to know that these are people that are interested in possibly going on this retreat for you. And then having a CRM system of some sort where you can start doing like a funnel or like a drip email system to people of saying, hey, we're going to do this retreat, starting to create that FOMO for them of like, oh, I need to go. This is going to be a lot of fun. And here's why. So it's so key to have that community and know that you have the people to market it to. And once you do know that, after you've dropped a couple different posts and polls and sent out some emails and things like that, that's where you're going to know, okay, I probably have 5 to 10 people already just from this community I've built and from these emails I've sent out and people that I'm working with that are current clients. So it's so key to kind of start there and know that you for sure have that solid group of people that are your followers and people that really are like, yeah, I want to be with you wherever you go. I don't care how much it's going to cost. I'm going to be at this event with you or this retreat with you.
So with that being said, okay, we could go on and on about community because I'm always like, especially lately, I like speakers. I truly believe that community is the most underused asset for speakers and coaches, period.
Yeah.
Especially speakers, because speakers are like, great, I got my speaker sheet. I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. But I'm like, where's your community? And to your point, it's really, and that's what I teach people too. It's really not that hard to create this community and all that stuff. But we've done we'll talk more about that. But the point is, once you have your community, okay, it didn't take me that long to build it. It's been 4 months. I've got over 400 people, closer to 500 people in my community on Facebook and offline. And now if I send it out and say, hey, I'm hosting a retreat, I'm going to get some sort of response, especially since I've been having events with these people. I've been connecting with these people over and over and over again. So it's not that hard for me to say, oh yeah, I have this huge community and I could reach out to them and see who wants to come. So tell us a little bit though, even build our confidence just a little bit more in the sense that why do people want to go to retreats and who typically wants to go to a retreat? Like what's the draw for the retreat?
Yeah. So, for instance, I'm working with a couple different types of individuals. I'm working with a couple that they do marriage retreats. So, typically, couples will want to go on a retreat. Reason being, one, it's a way for them to, if their marriage is kind of starting to fall apart, they get a chance to kind of come back together. They're going to get some training from the people hosting the retreat. And then they're going to also get some downtime to be able to rebuild their marriage and go do some sightseeing. I know for a fact that busy working moms, that is a big group of people that always want to get away. I work with multiple ladies that are hosting retreats that their focus is busy working moms or busy stay-at-home moms even. And they're pushing it towards them because one, they're getting a chance to build a community. A lot of women that are either working or they stay at home, it's hard as an adult woman to make a lot of friends because we're busy. We are focusing on our kids. We're focusing on our spouse. We're focusing on being a chef and doing all the things. So when you get away to a location with the retreat leader and with these other ladies, you're getting a chance to really establish some amazing connections with the women that are there, or even men. I don't want to make it solely focused on women, but even men too, like both of them. As an adult, it's harder to make friends. I know that for a fact. It kind of sucks. Like our kids become our friends, or, their kids' parents might be friends. So it's a way for them to build community. It's a way for them to also recharge. It's a way for them to grow, mentally, physically, whatever it is, the type of retreat that's being hosted. But usually it's either like a single person, like a woman or a man for retreats, or it's couples. And I would say the age for starting for those usually is in the 30s and up. The 20s and under, we don't market to typically with most of my retreat leaders, because those are more like spring breakers is what I would call them. They just want to go and party. They don't have the mindset. I don't want to be I don't want to say it's not racist or what I'm trying to say of the age gap. I don't know the correct verbiage for it.
Yeah. Prejudice, putting them in a hole. Yeah.
Yes. But usually someone under the age of 30 is not necessarily going to want to be going on a retreat like this. I know for a fact when I was in my 20s, that would not be something I would have wanted to do. I want to go and have lots of drinks and lots of partying, staying up all night and sleeping in. And that's not what you're going to be getting at a retreat. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
They're not broken enough yet. They haven't figured out that they're broken and they need a break. They're not stressed out enough yet. So they're just still partying, and they're like, I'm just going on vacation and doing other things. I don't need a retreat to revive myself. Like you're saying, I love that so much. But I really see that retreat is, I hate it when people are like, it sells itself, because that's never true. But I feel like retreat already has built-in value in the sense that it's a vacation and people buy vacations all the time.
Right.
And not only is it a vacation, but it's going to be planned for you. You're going to have these activities. So the vacation is going to serve a purpose at the same time. So, and I feel like, especially with moms and some of us who kind of we need an excuse. And the people who have trouble just going on vacation to go on vacation, it's I need to do this because there's a purpose behind me going. And so you can justify it for yourself, I think, as well. So I'm just really excited about it, actually, that this is something in addition that you can offer to your people that really already has built-in value in it, especially when we have someone like you who can help us to create that experience to make sure that it is going to be valuable, that hey, these are the typical activities and this is the structure people follow, and you can be there to brainstorm. So I don't have to come up with all of it out of my head, and to be able to say, okay, nope, that price is too low. Let's look at going a little higher, whatever. I think all of that is extremely valuable and really fun. So my last question for you is, what has been some of the funnest vacations and retreats that you've been on? What are some of the experiences you've loved?
For vacation that I have personally been on, I had a ton of fun this past July with my kids. We went to the Dominican Republic. Now, I'm a foodie. The food is not amazing there, but I had so much fun with my kids. They just love to have so much fun. I have never, I wish the US would be like this, where you can just walk into a grocery store and people are dancing and just having fun and living life. That was so inspiring for me of why aren't we just full of life and joy everywhere we go? Because we are given another breath of life every day. And it was just very inspiring for me just to see how they live and how happy they are. So I just loved Dominican Republic. For my clients, most of my clients, it's their first time doing retreats. So a lot of them are doing the Caribbean. So starting in Mexico is usually a really great starting place, especially for people in the United States, because it's in a similar time zone. Especially if you're on the East Coast, it's a similar time zone. And flights, you can get a lot of direct flights out of most airports down to the Cancun airport. So Mexico is a great starting point if you have never thought about doing something internationally. So I love that because there is an array of resorts. You have Cozumel and Isla Mujeres as well, which are two little islands that are quieter. So there's a lot to choose from in that area. Other places that I do love to send clients as they're growing their business is like St. Lucia and Aruba. Those are smaller islands that have more VIP service and it's more romantic. So it's really great for couples retreats. So if you are working with couples or even women, like just wanting to get away and have like secluded area, St. Lucia and Aruba are my other two favorites.
Yes. And I know we haven't talked about it on this one. I said that was my last question. I'm a liar. Okay. Yes, we haven't talked about this here, but you were mentioning that going international is actually beneficial because it saves you on cost. Is that right?
Yes, for sure. And I know we had this conversation and how I explain it to my retreat leaders, because most of them are thinking domestic. But when you're renting a villa, you have to think of the fact, okay, you have the villa, but then you have to hire a private chef. You're probably going to want to have some form of maid service because you want to be providing a VIP experience for your attendees. And then you also have to incorporate like activities. When you're in a villa, a lot of the times there's not activities there. When you go stay at a resort, all of that is included in the cost, which lowers the cost for the price of the accommodations portion itself. You have multiple restaurants to choose from. And if you have people that have mobility restrictions or dietary restrictions, the resort accommodates for them. And that's where I come into play. And I ask those questions so I can relay that to the resort and they know that, okay, this person has these dietary restrictions. This person has mobility restrictions. They need to be in this type of room, et cetera, et cetera. And then also there's lots of activities on the property. So you don't have to feel like you're constantly entertaining everyone. So you can be like, okay, we're going to do half of a day of training. And then the afternoon, you guys are released and go sit at the beach or go sit at the pool or go to the spa or, go, check out some of the restaurants or whatever they want to do. They have that option. And you're not in a villa like, okay, I got to entertain all day and even into the night. So you have that, like, as a retreat leader, you have a little bit more downtime where you can go back to your room, you can decompress because you are giving a lot of energy to these attendees, and you can incorporate that time in where you get a chance to take care of you as well, because you are taking care of your attendees most of the time you're there. You need that downtime too.
Yes. This has been so fascinating, so good. And I know you are in our workshop series. We have just scratched the surface, honestly. I still have so many more questions in terms of how do you get started? What is the pricing structure like you're talking about? And where even you just mentioned a few places that we could go to the retreat. There's so much more that we could talk about and think about. So for all of you who are still wondering, do I have a big enough community? Do I have a big enough draw? Am I ready for a retreat? What else do I need to know before I start it? On all that stuff, you have a workshop that you're doing for us next Wednesday. So Tell us, and it's included in our workshop series. So you can go to inspirespeakerschool.com/thrive 2025 to sign up for that. But tell us a little bit more about what you're going to be covering in that workshop specifically.
So I am going to be sharing my ultimate retreat blueprint. And so I am going to be walking you through the beginning stages all the way to the end and what that entails. And it's about a 30-45 minute walkthrough. So if you're someone that's like, kind of interested in hearing more about this, would love for you to sign up and join us next Wednesday. I believe it's at 11 a.m. Eastern, right? Is that the right time?
That's great.
Yes. So I'm super excited to kind of walk everyone through all of the steps that go with planning a retreat, because it's not as scary as you think it is. And when you're partnering with a travel agency like myself, where we will handle most of the logistics for you, it makes it a lot simpler for sure.
Yes, that's fantastic. And whenever you sign up for the workshop series, then you automatically get all the workshops that have been done so far. So if you're thinking, I want to do this, but I don't have a community, then I just did a workshop this week about how to build your community, and an easy way for speakers and coaches to build their community, how you can start building it in as little as 2 weeks and even make money as you're building your community in the first 2 or 3 weeks. And then we have a few our other workshops were about goal setting for 2025. How do you remove any energy blocks and things that are keeping you from reaching your goals? How to organize your year so that it's going to be really effective, so that whenever you want to do your retreat, you know how to put it in there, all of that good stuff. So you'll get all that whenever you sign up for the workshop series as well. So we are excited about this. We've had a ton of fun with this workshop series in getting this out to you. And I am looking forward to hearing about all of the retreats that you guys have. Make sure to invite me so I can come and hang out with you and I'll just retreat all year long. Yes. Any last words for us today, Amanda?
I just want to say, if you're someone that's scared and really like shying away from this, don't. Even if you have like a lot of questions about it, I would love to set up a time to chat with you and just talk through what that would entail with working with me and with Across the Horizon Travel, and help you not feel so scared. So we want to grow in 2025. My word for the year is growth for my business. So I want to be able to instill that in you, for you to be able to grow in 2025 and beyond.
Yes, absolutely. Let's grow. Let's grow and let's do it joyfully. That's my word. Joy.
Yes,
All right.
I love it.
We'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for joining us.